After boundaries soften and defense falls away, another quiet confusion often appears. Stillness, not rest, not silence. Stillness as the absence of inner motion and the fear that comes with it. For much of our lives, stillness was associated with withdrawal. If you were still, you were checked out. If you were quiet, you were avoiding. If you weren't moving internally, something must be wrong. We learned to equate aliveness with activity, thinking, planning, reacting, improving. So when inner movement slows, it can feel like disappearance, like you're slipping out of life instead of settling into it. I noticed this shift when stillness stopped feeling like rest and started feeling like presence. I wasn't tired. I wasn't disengaged. I was simply not moving inside. And that absence of motion felt unfamiliar, almost suspicious. Stillness without withdrawal doesn't feel sleepy. It feels alert, but not vigilant. You're here without leaning forward and without pulling back. This kind of stillness doesn't remove you from life, places you fully inside it. The confusion comes because, for a long time, stillness was something we used to escape. We would go quiet to avoid conflict. We would go numb to avoid pain. We would go inward to avoid engagement. That was withdrawal. It was necessary at times, but it trained the body to associate stillness with danger. So when stillness arises now, without fear, the system doesn't recognize it. It asks, am I shutting down? Am I dissociating? Am I giving up? But nothing is shutting down. Nothing is leaving. Stillness without withdrawal is the absence of resistance. You're not pushing against experience. You're not retreating from it. You're letting it be. This changes how you experience the body. Before, the body was often braced. Subtle tension in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the belly. Now the body feels settled, not limp. Settled. Ready without being primed. This readiness is important because stillness without withdrawal is not passivity. It's availability. You're not frozen. You're open. And openness doesn't need motion to exist. Stillness without withdrawal also changes how you relate to thought. Thoughts still arise, but they don't pull you along. You don't chase them. You don't resist them. They appear and pass. There's space around them. That space isn't created. It's noticed. You're not trying to quiet the mind. You're not trying to be still. Stillness is simply what's here when nothing is being managed. This can feel unsettling at first because management used to be how you stayed engaged. If you weren't doing something internally, you worried you were disengaging. But engagement doesn't require activity. It requires contact, and contact can be still. Living stillness is not the same as stopping. Life continues. You respond when response is needed. You speak when speaking is appropriate. You act when action arises. But between those moments, there is space, and that space is alive. Stillness without withdrawal also changes how you experience emotion. Emotion doesn't break stillness. It happens inside it. You can feel sadness without losing ground. You can feel joy without chasing it. Emotion doesn't demand motion. It moves and stillness holds it. This holding isn't effortful. It's natural. Before, you may have used stillness to avoid emotion. Now, stillness allows emotion. That's the difference. Avoidance contracts. Presence opens. Stillness without withdrawal is expansive. It makes room. This stage often brings a quieter relationship with the world. You're not scanning for stimulation. You're not seeking intensity, but you're not dull. You notice more. Small movements, subtle changes, tone. The world doesn't need to shout to be felt. You're not half absent. You're fully here. And that fullness doesn't require motion. Stillness without withdrawal also changes how you relate to others. Before, stillness in relationship could feel awkward. Silence needed to be filled. Pauses needed explanation. Now, stillness becomes shared space. You don't rush to speak to maintain connection. You let moments breathe, and that breathing often deepens intimacy. People feel less managed around you. They're not being entertained. They're not being analyzed. They're being met. Stillness without withdrawal also affects how you experience creativity. Before, creativity required activation. You had to summon it. Now, creativity emerges from stillness. Ideas arise without effort, not because you're searching, because nothing is blocking them. Stillness becomes fertile, not empty. This can feel counterintuitive if you're used to effort-based creation. But when tension is absent, movement doesn't need encouragement. It happens. This stage can feel like a quiet confidence, not assertive, not performative. You're not trying to project presence. You're not trying to hold space. You simply are, and that has weight. People notice it even if they can't name it. Stillness without withdrawal also changes how you experience uncertainty. Before, uncertainty triggered motion. Think it through, solve it, get ahead of it. Now, uncertainty can be held. You don't rush to close it. You let it exist without anxiety. That doesn't mean you ignore practical concerns. It means you don't fill unknown space with premature answers. You wait, and often clarity arrives without effort. Stillness is patient. It doesn't demand resolution. This stage often reveals how much movement was driven by discomfort. We moved to avoid feeling still. We filled space to avoid silence. We stayed busy to avoid being present. Now, stillness feels safe, not because nothing happens, because you're not resisting what does. Stillness without withdrawal also affects how you relate to your inner life. Before, you may have felt the need to process constantly, understand everything, work through emotions, make sense of experience. Now, processing relaxes, not because understanding isn't possible, because it's not always needed. Some things don't need to be processed. They need to be lived. Stillness allows that. You don't interrupt experience to examine it. You let it complete itself. This completion doesn't require insight. It requires time. Stillness gives time back to experience. This stage can feel like arriving at the center of something, but there is no center. There's just absence of movement where movement isn't required. Life still moves. You don't, unless you need to. This is deeply restful, not as sleep, as balance. Stillness without withdrawal doesn't mean you won't ever retreat again. Withdrawal still has its place. Sometimes you need distance. Sometimes you need quiet. The difference is choice. You're not withdrawing by default. You're resting in presence. That presence remains connected, even when you're alone. Season 3 is about life lived from what remains after the inner machinery quiets. Presence remains. Action remains. Choice remains. Expression remains. Effort remains. Connection remains. Boundaries remain. Stillness remains. But withdrawal as avoidance is no longer needed. You can be still and engaged, quiet and alive, at rest and available. If you've noticed yourself more comfortable with silence, if pauses no longer feel threatening, if stillness feels alive instead of empty, you're not fading. You're inhabiting life without needing to move away from it. And if this reflection met something real in you, liking the video helps it reach others who may be learning that stillness doesn't mean disappearance. If someone came to mind while listening, sharing it may help them feel less alone in this quieter way of being. You're welcome to subscribe if you'd like to continue through this season, not to seek silence, but to notice how life unfolds when you no longer need to escape it, unfinished and still.